Week 1 in the books, and a bad start for me because I gave Crucifier first place. Well, not my league. I won my game. But I gave Crucifier first place in the preseason power rankings because of his wide receiver depth, and I still hold to that. Ja'Marr Chase was limited on snaps. He got 6 targets, caught all of them. I'm not concerned at all about Ja'Marr Chase. Not concerned with DK Metcalf so much. Obviously, he's a lower tier. Not concerned at all with Garrett Wilson. It was the first game back for Aaron Rodgers, new defense. I still think this wide receiver group's OP, honestly. Rashee Rice proved his value as well. And Brandon Ayuk was a similar situation with Ja'Marr Chase. I personally would, as I said in the preseason ranking, trade a wide receiver for an RB2 because right now RB2 is a huge hole. I think wide receiver is a premium in this league, and with James Conner as a solid running back option, I would get someone for Mostert who's not going to be the most reliable if HN is healthy. So that's where Crucifier stands after a 157-107 loss to team. We went with Jared, who was my second team. So actually I'm not really concerned because they were both tied at incredible grades. We went with Jared, went off. I mean, Josh Allen gave the value you expect. Aaron Jones with the workhorse role. Stevenson with the workhorse role. We had no concerns with the wide receiver group until now. Puka goes on IR, and now you find yourself in a little bit of a pickle, unfortunately, because your fourth wide receiver was Rome, who also got hurt, and your fifth wide receiver is Lockett, who's not great. He had a decent game, so I guess he's not horrible. But that definitely takes this team down just a notch. But fully healthy, this team's insane. Puka's going to come back and be incredible. So I'm not concerned long term, but we'll see how we went with Jared does after Puka comes back. I was making a prediction to myself on the notes. We'll just go team. We went with Puka. I'm gonna say squeezes in playoffs. We went with Jared, squeezes in playoffs and makes a run because of makes a run fully healthy. Okay, next up, the next biggest blowout. That was a 50-point gap. That was by far the biggest. The next biggest was 38. Team Chef Cesario beat Pain Train 189 to 151. 189 was, in fact, the most in the league by far points. Absolutely insane week for Team Chef Cesario, who was my third place team. So actually, my rankings aren't that bad. And this is without Dak Prescott really doing anything because the game script didn't support it. But Saquon, again, this is the team that's similar to me. Dak, we had. Saquon, we definitely had. Crushed it. Kenneth had a good game, got banged up, but hopefully is fine. A.J. Brown also had a gigantic touchdown, so you must have been having a lot of fun on Friday night. Debo, another wide receiver I have. We loved his usage. We'll see how that goes with McCaffrey back and Ayuk playing more often. Zay had a lot of opportunities. Pitts was in an offense that didn't fully live up to their opportunity, and Kamara similar, actually. Good game script, but he was able to rest at the end just because they were blowing the Panthers out by so much. So I think, if anything, this team has more upside even than what we saw. Obviously, we won't see Saquon going that off all the time, but this is a team that you just have to if we adjust power rankings, like how do you not put this team at the top or at least top 2? They earned that number 3 ranking and are only going up from here. Pain Train, a super unlucky week. We gave them a solid grade. They were a middle-of-the-road team, and we still feel that way. Really good week for Anthony Richardson, but he showed value throughout his lineup. Like, his worst performer was outside of tight end, who Kincaid was getting triple-teamed for some of the plays last game, was Zamir White. And Zamir White still got opportunity. Obviously, Madison was more productive, but I still think Zamir White's backfield. So I'm very curious to see how that shakes out. Obviously, you're upset with the T. Higgins injury. I am as well because I had him. So the depth on this team takes a bit of a hit. But Pain Train, I think you don't panic at this moment. Honestly, I mean, as shitty as the week was, I actually think that Pain Train, luck-wise, I think Pain Train actually should walk away saying that, hey, my team's up there, one of the better teams in the league. New York Sirens are in full effect right now. The next biggest blowout was 26 points. El Grenas beat Team Elect Rick. Again, don't know if I'm the Rick or not. But this Elect Rick team was a team I also said was about middle of the road. And for El Grenas, we gave El Grenas. Well, he went back to El Grenas? I think he was horns up for a little bit. Let me make sure. I'm just going to go with that because I'm trusting my gut there. I actually don't know. Did El Grenas not change his name? Am I going crazy? Oh, no. I hope so. For El Grenas, though, Cooper Kupp, the pick of the draft right now, looking like the best value, 32 points. Absolutely remarkable. Really nothing else to say about that. Really, really solid. Really solid pick. McLaurin, I figured would be very good. Really bad start though for him. So a little bit of mixed notes there to leave off for wide receiver. But honestly, I mean, I think Cooper Kupp's ceiling is now through the roof, and McLaurin just had an off week as Jaden Daniels gets comfortable, so I feel good about it. You saw a good week from Nico Collins. Your running back group, JT and Gibbs, I think had the week you'd expect. Gibbs, obviously usage, you just want to take a close eye on, but hopefully him and Monty could both be successful in this offense. I will say with this team, like the bench is in my opinion one of the weaker ones at this point. Like I'm not seeing so much value in bench players, but I am not concerned with this team. I think where I rank them preseason is where I would still have them right here. Electric, actually similar. Where I ranked them preseason is where I'm going to have them here. I actually am a little bit higher, if anything, because the running backs affirmed what I would hope to see. Breece Hall, it really is the center of that offense, and James Cook is as well as far as usage. They're both going to have better weeks, but that was good to see. Drake London, Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, if you wanted the picture-perfect, disappointing wide receiver group for week one that you aren't really too concerned about long-term, it's these guys. I mean, Amari Cooper, 9 targets, Keenan, 11 targets is fantastic. Drake London, we all saw Kirk Cousins was really off. Hopefully he gets it back. If he does, I don't think anyone's really that concerned with Drake London. And Brock Bowers, similar, 8 targets, led his team in targets. So you add on Joe Mixon in the flex, who makes your running back group sick. And this team, if anything, I mean, again, you lose. It's another team that lost that shouldn't walk away being like, oh, shoot, man, we stink. You would have beaten a lot of teams in the league, and I actually think you're still a solid team. Banditos, speaking of, you would have beaten both teams in this matchup. Banditos won 123-109 against Untouchables. Did Untouchables change the name too? I think something's wrong with my computer. It's giving me like old names. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. All right, Untouchables and Captain Corrupt is the same team. So let me just do that. And there's a reason that I gave a lower score. Untouchables is really struggling right now. And it's tough to see. It's really tough to see. Untouchables only put up 109 points. Kyler had a disappointing week. Oh my gosh, he started McCaffrey. When I mess something up in life, I always like try and work it out and just get my anger at myself out on the weights. So I'm going to do that for you because I hate seeing guys not handcuffed that need to be handcuffed. My favorite thing about that dumbbell when girls come over is it looks like it's so heavy because it has so many weights on them, but it's low-key not that heavy. It's low-key not that heavy at all. No, I hate this. I hate when players, when fantasy players, there's so much luck in fantasy. You just have to be like, all right, what can I have skill in? What can I be strategic about? And that's one of those things, man. That's one of those things. I'm guessing I'm not going to see Mason on your bench. I don't. So that's a necessity. I'm hoping you drafted Eli Mitchell. But either way, I picked up Mason in my league. You got to be alert. You got to get those alerts. You got to know when McCaffrey, when Eli gets hurt, get the handcuff. And even when McCaffrey's out, did you not have the opportunity to drop someone? Actually, maybe not in this league. Maybe not in this league, but either way, man, either way, you got to get that backfill on D. Honestly, man, what can you say? Did I overreact? Maybe, I don't know. Because if you can't drop someone, then what can you do? I will say my friend is friends with the chef on the Niners, and I shouldn't say this. But I'm going to say it. And he told us CMC was out a few hours before it leaked. And I should have bet the house on over in yards for Jordan Mason, but I'm a dumbass, so I didn't. Okay, sorry. Getting back to this, Untouchables, yeah, obviously CMC getting hurt really hurt you. You probably would have won. That fucking sucks. You know what? I was mad at you. Now I feel bad for you. You know what? I feel like a dick. I'm going to reverse what I just did because also I need to do my left arm because now I disproportionately help my right arm as we continue just with this with the other team. Team Them Banditos, a team that I ranked. Let's see where we gave Banditos. We gave Banditos 5, a B+, good grade. And if you're the Banditos, man, the Josh Jacobs thing's interesting because you lose Jordan Love. And with Jordan Love, I think he's going to help that offense obviously a ton, and including the run game. It's the most basic take of all time. But I would mean to say he's going to help the run game by being so effective. And I think Josh Jacobs had the role you want, and he actually started looking really good as that game went on. Similar with Dave Montgomery. Montgomery was looking really good, especially as the game went on. Obviously finished super strong. So running back group looks good. Amon-Ra, Olave, I just said the other team was the biggest picture of disappointment. This is probably the most disappointing team, honestly. I mean, wide receiver group. Olave and Amaro are both drafted really early. And listen, I will say Olave is not my favorite receiver this year, but I do think these guys are both going to be much better. I think Amaro is going to be insanely better. So, I don't know. Is it panic button time? Obviously not, because you get the win, but your team definitely underperformed when it comes to wide receiver and tight end. I'm not concerned with running backs. I'm not overly concerned with wide receiver. Mark Andrews, with Likely's emergence, I am a little bit concerned about. So, I'm hoping for you that it works out, because your bench really underperformed. I mean, Deontay is disappointing as possible. Hubbard is disappointing as possible. You're tied too much to the Panthers on your bench, and that's not going to be great. So, for the Banditos, this is a team that you walk away with a win, but I actually walk away a little less confident than I was going into the week, although I still think this is a top half team, and I'm going to stick with it. Untouchables, I'm going to keep you where I had you, although, you know, obviously with McCaffrey being healthier, you're going to be a lot better. And again, you're pretty top heavy. McCaffrey, Kyron, Jalen Waddle, like, these are some really good players, but it just gets thin pretty quick. Kudos on Mike Evans, by the way, because he just keeps performing. I just keep thinking he's going to fall off, and he just keeps performing. So whoever keeps taking him, like, great job. Like, just do it until he dies, honestly. Like, when he retires, still draft him, in my opinion, because it's always a hit. It's simply always a hit. Okay, we have, I think, one game left. It is the closest game. It was Dust in the Wind over El Professor. Dust in the Wind was a team I gave the worst score to in the preseason rankings. And you know what? I do want to keep it, because 119 is losing to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 16. So you would lose to most of the league, so I'm not going to be like, oh, I was wrong about it. I told you I really like Bijan. Etienne did not look that great, although, and the touches also showed that it's not necessarily only his backfield. Although obviously he had a decent fantasy week, 12.4 is not horrific. DJ Moore, Tank Dell, yeah, they're one of three receivers. That's why I didn't like this team. It's just so heavily invested in heavily saturated wide receiver groups. George Pickens also, I mean, he had a decent week, 13.5, but another guy that's like, there's a ceiling there given who his quarterbacks are. Rachaad White underperformed. Fantasy, he did decent. George Kittle, as I would expect, had a bit of a fall off. The good thing with this team is you have a great bench. I really like Zach Moss. I actually think Dowdle has more upside than what he showed. Reed obviously went off. When Jordan Love comes back, he'll be great. But for Dust in the Wind, it's hard for me to still bump you up, and I'm not going to. El Professor was ranked 8th, so it's not like you beat a much better team. You only won by 5 points. And for this team also, Achane got banged up, and Marvin Harrison had the worst game he'll have all season. But for this team, again, we talked about disappointing performances. There's another wide receiver group that disappointed. Although Ridley, I'm not super high on this season. I think he'll do better. Marvin Harrison, I think, will do much better. That was brutal. Although I definitely think he was overdrafted. And Pittman, I also think, will do better closer to where his ADP is. But you add in CeeDee Lamb, and there's a really good wide receiver group. If Achane could keep doing that, he's basically a wide receiver at this point. From that running back position, you're going to actually be better than what I thought, because Mahomes is also going to have better weeks, although I still just have hesitancies. There's another team that might have so much depth at wide receiver they'll be fine, but I don't know. I just feel like this team is where I put it, like a bottom half team that is a trade away from being better. But you gave yourself the assets, and I would do a wide receiver for running back. The only thing I'll say is if McCaffrey's out for a long time, Mason's going to help your team. Any gap you have in your team that I was criticizing you about would be filled, and you're now a top team. So, because I think Mason would be an immediate top 5 running back in the NFL. Obviously, I have Mason as well, so overly biased. But that is week 1 recap. I had an insanely long day of work, even though my job has been super easy lately. So, expect much higher energy next week. But these are my initial thoughts, and I appreciate you all for putting together good teams. Although I do want one of your teams to become horrible, so I could just shit on you the entire season, because I need that one team that I could go in on. As of now, it's really anyone's league. See you next week.